I think that's about it for the housekeeping. I am now going to invite Mandy Nicholson up onto the stage. Dr. Mandy Nicholson is a Wurundjeri Willam Wurundjeri Balak Patraline artist, the founder, singer and songwriter of the Jiri Jiri dance group and traditional custodian of Melbourne and surrounds. She also has connections to the Jaja Wurrung and Ngui Ilam Wurrung language groups of Central Eastern Kulin Nation on her father's side and German on her mother's. She has an honours degree in Aboriginal archaeology and is a Wurundjeri Wurrung language expert, so apologies for bastardising that. Yeah. She is also a cultural mentor to young Indigenous girls through learning and teaching of culture, language, dance and ceremony. She has a PhD in how Aboriginal people connect to country, on country and off country. Sorry, I got that wrong.
You did. Good job.
But now we'll get you...
No, I've got nothing. No. Oh, I've got nothing, but there's a slide of me. Thank you. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for inviting me here this morning and seeing so many people in this room saving the planet, because it starts from grassroots, figuratively and physically, and working in the environment, working for country is very healing, and I can probably say that for all of you in here. You're out there, out and about, you're not in an office all the time because you can't connect the way that you need to when you're behind a computer screen or in front of a computer screen. So I just also wanted to say it's a little, I won't get into that. That's something that's going on at the moment with Sorry Business, but it's very hard for me to get up and speak while this is happening in our family. But I wanted to mention that because I wanted to say that I feel safe here. I feel culturally safe here, so thank you. So, Beladu Nyan Wangat, Naranik Mandy, Wurundjeri Willamik, Wurundjeri Balakut, Mundanai Murup Galada Birarang, Mundanai Kirapik, Mundanai Pupup Nakwarenik, Ba Lalal Ba Gugung Nuglik, Ba Bikut Bik Dui, Banyabik, Mernmut Bik, Wururu Bik, Ba Darangok Bik, Ba Bunjalal, Willamu. Now, isn't that a beautiful language? And it's a language that is getting revived as we speak, and the key to revival of language is being out on country and understanding that country isn't just a physical thing. Like, we all work in the environment, the physical environment, but when we're out there, we look at country differently. We feel country differently. We remember country. And it's something that I miss because I'm an old Narrap Ranger. Woohoo! I do actually miss being out in the field that way, but I do try to get out on country as much as I can, and my way of sort of recording country is by taking photos and videos and sounds and things like that to make me take country back to my computer screen, back to my home, so I can be close to it when I'm not out there, out and about. So thinking about country as not just the physical thing is really important, because country is a spiritual thing too. And it's not about a physical sacred site over there or a scar tree over there or a grassland over there. It's about a cultural landscape, and a cultural landscape takes in everything. Like, I was just looking at this building and looking, you know, like you think, oh, it's pretty old, but in the scheme of things, it's pretty young in our history. But this building was built on a sacred place, a sacred landscape. So when I'm in the city, I look at the city differently. I see it as though I'm looking sort of like, if I've got my hand in front of me, I can see my hand, but I can still see all of you behind my hand. And that's how I see the buildings and the concrete, because I see through that, I see past that, and I remember country by thinking, how was this ground, physical ground, how was it before these buildings were built? So when we think about Wurundjeri country, we think about beautiful landscape. We do have some beautiful areas still, but we're obviously right in the dead centre of a city. How do we connect to country in the middle of the city? So we may just go and this is really like, because it's about grasslands, I always talk about taking your shoes off and feeling the grass between your toes, feeling the moss, feeling the mud. We actually went up for a drive to see the source of the Birrarung last week before, and I was expecting to see this beautiful like hole in the ground with water just sprinkling out really beautifully, but all we ended up seeing was moss and a bog. And I thought, well, that's the start of our story. It's the start of our narrative, because the river flows through the heart of our country, like the veins in our body. But then one thing that I do, like a highlight of that day, was being out on country with like people, like-minded people, but also being in a water catchment where you're not usually allowed to go. But one thing that stood out to me, we were on the peak of one of the mountains looking over the mountain ranges, and we're just driving along, and something jumped out at me, and I tried to take photos of it but couldn't, we're going too fast. Was the water, I'm always talking about water, was the grass. Stifer, is that what it's called? It's about that tall, and it was on the top of the mountains, and I said, I want that grass in my garden. So when we talk about grasslands out in the environment that's been left alone and manicured by teams like Narrap Team and you guys like yourself, looking after the remaining grasslands, it's also about looking after grasslands in your own home garden, because I want to get rid of all my European plants and get them out. Maybe I'll employ the Narrap Team to come and do it for me and plant like the native grasses back there. I've got a little patch, and you guys would be so proud of me. I've got a little patch of kangaroo grass in my front yard. And that's what I try to highlight when people come to my house, is understanding that it isn't about just having a few native plants here and there. It's the story of these plants, the narrative of how they're connected to the different layers of country, how they're connected to us, how they're utilised for food or fibre. It's about telling the story that is not often talked about or thought about from the perspective of country. So when we talk about country, there's 6 fundamental layers that I talk about. So Bik Ut is below country. So when you think about how it's related to grasslands and plants, you think about under the ground, it's got all the worms and the bugs, the grubs, and all the nutrients getting soaked in by the rain. That's that life-giving layer. So we call that Bik Ut. And then above that, we call it Bik Dui, which is on country. So that's where all of these plants and animals thrive if they're left alone. And it's where we gather. We're gathering today. It's also where we do ceremony. Excuse me. It's where we manicure the environment. We look after the environment. So when European people came here, they thought the gardens, literally gardens, were like very similar to the British manicured landscapes over there of their gardens, and they thought, oh, how's this? They could not work out why it was so beautiful here. It was because the grasslands and the bush were manicured, and still are. I never talk about past tense. Were manicured back then, but still are today, into a beautiful, well-balanced environment. So fire, I think Narrap Team are going to talk about what they do with fire, and it goes to show that this country and the people that looked after and nurtured this country since before the beginning of time, it's cylindrical, it never starts, never ends, is a beautiful synchronicity of a relationship of people and the environment. So that's on country. And we also have to live our lives every day. Go to work, study, do stuff we hate doing, but also balancing that with stuff that we love. And that all relates to country. And then we've got Banyabik, which is water. So water is life-sustaining, life-giving. As we know, we're full of water in our bodies. It's coming from the sky today. It's in the rivers. It's everywhere. Water vapour. And we gift water from country to visitors to show you that you can be safe while you're visiting. And I was planning to do a water ceremony. I was like, yeah, because Uncle Dave said, yeah, Mandy might do a water ceremony up there. I thought, oh, I better ask Annie Di because that's her thing. But then I got up there and there was no water to do it. But it's a ceremony included in our welcome. So welcome isn't just a verbal welcome, hey, you're welcome to this place. It's about understanding that there's other parts to ceremonies. There's a understanding, a mutual obligation, And it isn't about welcoming you to Australia as a country with a lowercase c. It's about welcoming you to country with a capital C. It's a proper noun. So it's because it's part of us. So then above water country, Bunyabik, we've got Murnmutbik. So Murnmut is wind. And when we have our smoking ceremonies, another part of our welcomes, we put, as you've probably all been to several of them, but maybe the meaning behind it hasn't been fully explained, where we've got the smoke coming out of the leaves, you go smoke yourself. But the reason we use manna gum leaves or eucalyptus leaves generally is we know that it's got healing properties. The oil is healing. We put it on our sores and our scratches. We inhale it when we're clogged up. We have lollies for sore throats. We've known this forever, so it cleanses the area physically, like really does. It isn't about just coming to set the space. It's about actually getting rid of any bad energy that's around us and inside of you. So after a smoking ceremony, that's the reason why we do our smoking ceremonies with the gum leaves. So when we have the wind blowing that smoke, it starts to dance. It turns from a grey smoke into a big puffy white smoke, and that's the healing smoke. And then when you think deeper into that, you think about where the smoke actually ends up. You're getting smoke. Sometimes there's really big smoking ceremonies where it's just like smoke, smoke, smoke. But then if you ever go, like have another one, watch where that smoke goes after you've gone and smoked yourselves. It absorbs into things. It absorbs into the trees. It absorbs into the environment. So then it keeps that cylindrical connection going. It might trigger the plants to flower because they think a fire's coming. If you're out on country a bit further away from the city, Bunjil might go, hey, there might be some food down there, so you'll circle while you're lighting your fire. So they're all connected. So then above that, we've got Wurrawurrubik, so sky country. I felt like I was in sky country on top of the mountains the other week. The clouds are different up there. The trees are different. The trees create their own mist up there because they need that extra bit of moisture. So it's all so amazing how everything's relying on everything around it. And when we mess with it, it just all collapses. So you guys are here to change that and make sure that synchronicity comes back and is maintained into the future. So then above sky country, where we see the physical form of our creator, Bunjil, and all the other birds, and when I say connecting to country in the city, how I was talking about taking shoes off and feeling the grass, you can actually go into the city somewhere, sit there, close your eyes and tune into the birds, and you'll always hear the birds that are connected to our stories. You'll hear Dun Dun, the rainbow lorikeet. He's everywhere in the city. And you won't hear the cars, you won't hear the yelling and screaming and the busyness of the city. You'll tune in to country, you'll tune into nature. So then above that, we've got Darangolkbik. So Darang is our word for tree, Golk is stick, and Bik is country. And we call star country, it's like bush country. So that's amazing to understand and know that what we call that myriad of stars up there is what we call physically what's down here is like the bush and how it reflects on itself. So if you flipped it, it'll still be the same. And we've got so many stories in the stars and how they're interrelated with different aspects of culture, different aspects of country, spirituality. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to delve into because we're just even now just getting into finding out more information about different things, and one key to that is language. So understanding like the word Wominjeka, welcome, and understanding words from the environment are the same as words for parts of our body and things like that. Like Wurruyuang in Wadawurrung country, Yuang, or it's bald head, like the mountain is, like it's amazing how we use our language to name particular parts of the environment, but sometimes, like the word, like go back to the word Wominjeka, Woman means to come, so you've obviously come from somewhere today. G is an instruction of being asked to come, and Ka is purpose. So when we use language to reconnect and rebind that synchronicity of country and self and spirituality, things are going to look much brighter for the future. And going back to grass, I love how grass isn't often thought about, but today it is thought about. Look at, like, sold out. But I think back to one of the most powerful, iconic ecologists. I don't know if he's an ecologist, but he's been doing a lot of stuff to protect the tiniest little bugs under the ground, to grass, to trees, to the environment, to the largest animals in the world. So happy birthday, David Attenborough. So thank you so much for having me, and enjoy the rest of your sessions and keep going with what you're doing, because I know, is it 0.01% of native grasslands or something ridiculous like that that are left, and hopefully that'll change in the near future, not too far into the future, because we need more of our native grasses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. That was beautiful and profound. We've got some momentum here, and it's just great to see so much grassy action and grassy love in one place.